Sometimes you reach a fork in the road and you have to make a turn and realign your purpose, right? Get back on track. So, starting with the most recent story, that would be that I was to be married. August 9th would have been my wedding day, and God had other plans. Sometimes in times of difficulty and hard times, people tend to turn to Jesus. People tend to look for their Savior. And when things are going good, unfortunately, people tend to forget Him. It's not the right thing, but sometimes He has to throw in a little reminder of who He is. I felt like, looking back at the situation, I felt like God wanted me back. He wanted to take control back of my life and my purpose. And my whole life had become this relationship and this person. You should never worship false idols. I took a lot of my attention and a lot of my focus on Him. And if He didn't want to go to church that day, we didn't go. If He didn't believe in a certain thing, I started to not believe it either. I grew apart from the relationship with God that I had tried so hard to build. That's not the way that it's supposed to be, right? God is at the center of your relationship, and He is supposed to be the power that drives that relationship, right? Everything else is secondary. In that time, it wasn't for me. Yeah, I got a rude awakening. Say that. 2 months before the wedding, this is where it gets real, because remembering everything and going back to everything brings you back to a place of, upset. But I'm excited to share because I don't have to be there anymore. And that's by the grace of God. So, two months before the wedding, my partner said that he wanted to postpone the wedding. He wasn't comfortable with being married in 2 months. He felt as though there's still things that he wanted to do, and there's still a level of manhood that he felt he needed to reach before he was comfortable to be somebody's husband. He said it in many different ways. He wasn't very direct at first. He kind of beat around it. First it was finance. That was an issue. The wedding is 2 months away and the money is tight. Maybe we should postpone it. Then it was my child's father that was an issue. What if you are still into him or still want to have a relationship with him? Then that was the next story. Then he wanted to be somewhere else. He wanted to go back to school. He wanted to have a career. He wanted to do all these things before being married. You can imagine my confusion because he proposed to me. We had planned a wedding. We had spent a lot of money. He was fitted for a tux. My dress was altered. Everything was set. So you can imagine my confusion in not really understanding where all this was coming from, but trying to work with it. So we had a few long conversations. We had a few sleepless nights. We had a few one-on-one conversations, me trying to understand and him trying to explain. He's a good man. He had trouble even explaining what he really wanted. Today I can look back at that and see that it wasn't him and it wasn't me. It was God. He couldn't really explain where it was coming from because there was a total intervention there. And I couldn't understand it because it's not for me to understand. It was for God to work in that situation to better both of our lives. I'm sure that He is better for it today. I know that I'm better for it today. So I just give thanks. In the moment, you can't really see it. You see pain, you see hurt, you see confusion, depression, sorrow. And in that time, I really focused on God. I went to church every Sunday. I prayed every 5 minutes. I'm sure my daughter thought I was a nut because I would just stop, get on my knees and just pray. I was praying for my sanity. I was praying for healing. I was praying for the anger and the hurt that I was feeling to go away. God slowly started to work. In the midst of me praying, against the pain that I was feeling, I got a raise at work. In the midst of me praying against this hurt and this sorrow, I moved into a beautiful home. In the midst of me praying against this pain and sorrow, I met a lovely, God-fearing man that has changed my life. In the midst of it, you couldn't see it. Looking back on it now, you see that he was in control the entire time. And that it wasn't a series of events that led to confusion, that led to the breakdown of a relationship. It wasn't the devil attacking something good. People said a lot of different things to me, but none of that was the truth. The truth is that God needed his soldiers, him and me, and he needed to remind us of what we're here for. We all have a purpose on this earth, and our purpose wasn't to lose ourselves in each other. And that's what we were doing. You should never worship false idols. It goes back to it. And, that can mean a lot of different things. Sometimes it's even your partner. I can even talk about my daughter too, because she went through a hard time. She experienced some confusion and some pain. She couldn't understand. This is someone who was like a father to her for 4 years, right? Today, she is healthy and happy and thriving, and she seeks God even more than I do. So I think that mission accomplished. And I have to thank him, because without that intervention, without that major life-changing intervention, we wouldn't be where we are today. That's my blessing. She's a happy, healthy little girl, and she's okay, and we're okay. And it took that little break, right, to realign us spiritually. That's it. Sometimes you reach a fork in the road, and you have to make a turn and realign your purpose, right? Get back on track. And that's what we did. I saw those roadblocks that kept coming up. Every time you jumped over what you would think is a hurdle, something kept coming up. And I viewed those roadblocks as, okay, you need to reposition, and God has something else planned for you. Instead of continuing to hurdle, something else will always come up if you continue to jump and jump and jump. So when you reach a fork in the road, when you get to that place that's a crossroads, really pray about it and make sure that you are making the right decision so that you can get back on the path that God intended for you.